We've been on holidays. Good morning, my friends. My name is Jennifer Tom, and I'm with my favorite friend,
Darlene Rample.
and it's Grief Talk today. Grab your coffee.
Mm-hmm.
We've got our coffee. And
Join
cheers.
us.
Yes. And we're excited to show up again today.
Mm-hmm.
And last month was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank you all for the comments,
Mm-hmm.
the feedback, and people reaching out and just sharing. Sometimes, darling, we show up and we actually don't know if we're making an impact or what we're doing. But it's so encouraging when I don't even think I shared this with you, but somebody said, I like watching that. And sometimes we give nuggets that just keeps the day going.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we show up, right?
That's right.
And last month was good. It was good. Darling, it's so funny. We always talk about, what did we talk about last week? Because we have so much to share.
Mm-hmm.
And we're here to share lessons learned from life and loss.
Yes.
And please just give us feedback. How are we doing? Because that's why we show up. And that's why we want to make it impactful for you.
Yes, we do.
Oh, so this month, we're talking about resilience.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. And Darlene has a quote for us.
I do.
About resilience. And I can't wait. Darlene, can you share our quotes today?
So one of the authors I've been reading is George Bono, and he does lots of research on grief and loss, and he has sometimes a little different approach. But I'm just going to share what his quote is. So his quote, actually, he called it hardness instead of resilience, but hardness is the ability to endure difficult conditions or experiences. And we all have that. We all will have difficult conditions or experiences. So hardness is being committed to finding meaningful purpose in life. The belief that one can influence one's surrounding and the outcome of the events, and the belief that one can learn and grow from positive and negative experiences.
Oh, just leave it right there, darling. I love it. I love one can learn and grow from both.
Yes.
Positive and negative life experience. And that's what we are doing. That's what we are sharing.
Yes.
It's what we've learned.
Yes.
Life events happen all the time. And sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, they're positive, negative. But we learn from it.
We learn from it. And that we can, right? We can influence. We can't control our surroundings. We can't control outcomes. But having that belief that we can influence something, so we can do something. We're not out of control. We can do things with our attitudes. We can do things for our physical bodies, our mental bodies, our emotional and spiritual bodies that can influence, right, the outcome and how we become resilient, how we walk through life.
Oh, I love it. If you love this quote, please give us a thumbs up to know that you love it. And if you'll be watching later, please just leave us a comment. And so that will be the topic for this month. And I know it's summer, people are busy, and we've been on holidays too. And this is good. But guess what? We are going to talk about resilience this month. And my voice is so good. And we are going to have guests on our grief talk, who are willing to share how they've dealt with the resilience. And I love your definition. And I wrote down while we get ready on this talk. Okay, it's summer, there's so much smoke. And anyway, and I love Brendan Burchard, my coach, sharing about resilience. And he says the promise of human spirit. We rise and move forward with optimism. Oh, I love it. So the guests will be joining us the next few weeks, like every Wednesday. That's what they'll be talking about. They will share stories about how we rise and move forward with optimism. I believe we all know somebody. What is going on? We all know somebody. Maybe I need to copy that. We all know somebody who has resilience. We all have it, whether we know it. We've all gone through something really difficult, and we've risen and moved forward.
We found meaning and purpose.
Yes.
We believe we have influence and we can change, and we all learn from our negative and positive events.
Exactly. I love it. And that brings us to, that's why Darlene and I wrote this book, When Flowers Aren't Enough, because this book was written on resilience. I've shared a story about the losses I've had in my life and how my life story, the resilience I had, and how I moved forward to being a funeral director and being able to help people who are experiencing loss, and then moving forward now doing the grief.
Yes.
It's resilience. It's not easy, but that's what this month we'll be talking about. How do we rise up and move forward? So I'm excited. Please give us a thumbs up if you like resilience, and please share with us, what does resilience mean to you? What does resilience mean to you? I love that, right? And how, I wrote down here that how do we move forward when a life event happens? How do you rise up? That's the topic.
Yes. Yeah. I'm just going to get this on.
Oh, I love it. What does resilience mean to you? And I love that it's the promise of the human spirit that we can rise and move forward with optimism. Even though it is difficult, we can move forward. So because I love stories, I'm going to share my personal story about how I experience, how I deal with the resilience, and what I've explained what it means to me. It's rising up and moving forward. I love that. Thanks, Annette, for watching. And I love that. Resilience to me means the ability to rise above, overcome, and move beyond difficulties we face. Oh, thank you, Annette, for sharing that. That's amazing. That's rising up. Exactly. And Darlene has a story about resilience. Should I share mine? Because maybe share yours, and then I'll have my coffee.
Yeah. Resilience comes from again, when we go through difficult times, and I've been sharing a little bit about my mom's journey and just how we take care of, we're called the sandwich generation. So I'm taking care of my elderly mother, plus we're having grandkids. And so we have amazing days where I go see my mom, and it's very hard. My mom's declined in her ability to communicate. And so sometimes we have good visits. We've had one good visit maybe in the last 8 weeks, but the last time I went, it was Friday morning, and it's really hard to go. It's really hard to say, okay, I'm going to go and just be present. But I think you learn. We've loved, our parents have cared for us. They've taken care of us. Now it's time to just find that positive impact that I can go and take care of my mom. Because, my mom's never let us take care of her. She's always been an independent woman. She's never needed help. She's never asked us to do a lot of things for her. And so now it's changed where she can't do hardly anything for herself. So resilience is, I think, recognizing, Lord, that this is it's my chance to serve my mom, not to have my mom care for me. And so I went to visit her. She was sleeping most of the time. She was a little agitated. So I just held her hand and prayed for her and just sat with her and was present in that moment. And but that gave me hope, right? It gave me a positive that at least I could influence something. We talked about not having that sense of loss with control. But if you can find something that you can have control of, that you can influence, I believe we can influence each other by our spirits, by connecting with people. And so I had a visit, and I came home not as depressed, not as sad as I usually do. I usually cry all the way home, but I didn't come, because I think once you've gone through all the emotions and you've processed and we've cried, when somebody has dementia, it's kind of like you lose that person ahead of time. You lose that person who you knew before, and there's a new person there that you have to care about. And so, yeah, so it's just been that struggle, but that release, just to let go of that what my mom used to be, and just care for her with what she had. And then afterwards, we went and saw my grandbabies, and we got to play with them and just see life. And I think that's the negative and positive playing together. And if we can embrace both, the positive and the negative. And my story is just example. It's just so real, because there's just two different things. Like, they're so different, the positive and the negative. But in that one day, I just had the ability to embrace both the positive and negative, and learn from both. And I think that's what creates resilience.
Oh, thanks for sharing. As Darlene was talking, I was just, like we've shared, and that's resilience. Like, that's what we're talking about. And those are the stories we want to share. So because of our time, I just shared 2 ideas about resilience, because we all going to face hard life events, whether good or bad, we're going to face it. But one thing I just want to share today is that we need to acknowledge the struggle. We need to feel it and recognize it.
That's so true.
We need to feel it, recognize it, and acknowledge. Because when we do that, that's how we build resilience. So, I love that.
Yeah. And we get stuck in grief when we don't, when we try to avoid, when we try to use all those short-term energy levers, right? And I've worked with people, and part of the reason they get stuck is because no one listens. No one's there to listen, to help them acknowledge their pain, help them to accept, right, what they're going through.
Oh, I like it. Like, I like the way you said, some days you drive and you cry. That's feeling. You need to feel it. So, idea of resilience is acknowledge the struggle, feel it, and recognize it. I love. Thanks for sharing, darling, because today I'm struggling with my voice. But that is so good. I guess the other idea I had for everyone who is watching, another idea for resilience, we need to find a way to release it.
Release our emotions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And like the way you said, you pray, right? I pray. Some other people have different ways to release. Some people meditate. But we have to release. Talk to a friend, talk to a therapist, talk to a coach. Like Annette is my coach. I talk to her, I release it. And those are ways that we build resilience. But I'm so excited because the next few weeks, we're going to hear from other people and how they've dealt with resilience. And if there's anything we can learn from people, we learn from people sharing their stories, is that let's get those nuggets so that we all have resilience. But if we can all share stories and then come out, rise up on the other end and be strong. Because, darling, this whole year with COVID, we've all gone through something. And we've all built resilience somehow, right? Like,
and we're still building resilience because as we've kind of spiraled down during COVID, where we've been limited with who we talk to, we've shortened our circle. We've closed in, and we've all closed in. We've all had less connections, and now it's time. How do we slowly build those up so we build up our connection again? And we do that by sharing, and that builds resilience when we can share and when we can move forward.
Right. So our biggest nugget. We've left you with lots of info, but lots of nuggets. So whatever you can take to help you, please take it and comment. Join us on our private group on Facebook, and we'll continue this conversation. And please invite your friends, because the whole month we'll be talking about resilience, and we'll have stories. I actually love it. I love it. And then maybe closing, I will share my own way of how I've dealt with resilience. So thanks, Darlene, for sharing. Thank you for watching, my friends. This was awesome. Wishing you an awesome day, and I hope you can rise and move forward with optimism.